follow along properly. Okay, so all right, so um, let's start. Uh, String data type. What is a string? A string is simply a sequence of characters enclosed in single or double quotes. Yeah. So any set of characters I have in single or double quotes, you can consider that a string. Also, apart from single or double quotes, anything that's enclosed in backticks too is a string. So what is backticks? If you look at your escape key, there is a button directly under your escape key, right? And that button, when you click it, it generates something that looks like a single quote, but it's not kind of straight, it's like slanting. So that is called a backtick, okay? So you can also use that to generate strings, but mainly strings are popularly known as sequence of characters with single or double quotes. And then let's see. For these are examples of the properties and methods of strings, right? So we have the length property. The length property is used to get the number of characters in a string. For example, we can have hello.length like this, right? And then it will output to us the length of the characters in that particular string. Then we can also change a string to uppercase and also to lowercase. And then we can also find a character at a particular index of a string. Let's see how what we've discussed so far works in VS Code. So I'm going to share my VS Code screen to you guys. Okay, let me do that so you guys will see what I'm talking about. Okay, I hope you guys can see my terminal.
So we can see.
Okay, nice. And okay, I hope it's big. So let's say, let me declare a variable. Let's say let greetings equals to, then that greeting should be equals to hello people, for example. Right. We can find out what is the length of this particular string. Now, this is the string here, what you're seeing here. I could use double quotes here, like the way I'm using it now. I could use single quotes. So if you open your string with a single quote, always remember to close it with a single quote. If you opened it with double quotes, remember to close it with a double quote. Or I could use backticks. See, this symbol that looks slanting, like kind of, should I say, slanting to the left, okay? But you can use it to also declare a string, so that is also a valid string. But then let's use single quotes. So let's say let greetings equals to hello people, right? So we have that. Then of course we can just console.log out our greetings, right? Normally. Then I would write node index, and if I run that, you'd see hello people. But what if I want to know the number of characters inside this string? I would say hello dot length, and then if I come back here and run the program, you see we have 12 um, characters inside the string, HELLO, then the space, then PEOPLE. Okay, so that's how you get that. I can change this string to capital letter or to small letter. So I could do something like this: console.log greetings dot to to uppercase, right? Then if I come back here and run node index, you see that we are having hello people as in uppercase. Okay, we also have to look to lowercase. Okay, so if everything here was in uppercase and then we wanted it to be in lowercase, we can also use that. Then if we use to lowercase now, it's going to transform H and P to lowercase and then add it to other. So if I change this to to lowercase, right? And I come back here and run the same code. You see that everything now is in small letters instead of capital letters. Okay, nice. Then let's go back to our VS Code. I hope we understand that. Okay, um, let's also check different characters we have. Okay, we have different characters here, and we have HELLOPEOPLA. We want to check using the index of each character to know what character is in that particular index. Now, there is this thing with strings. Strings are zero indexed too. The same way we have arrays that are zero indexed. I know for people that already understand how arrays work, they are not going to have any issue with it. But then, what does zero indexing mean? It means that the value of the first letter of the string or the first character in the string has the index of 0, while the second character in the string has the index of 1, and so on and so forth. So for example, if we try to check the character, let's say um, I try to check the character at, let's say, console.log, and I say greetings dot character char at. So character at is going to accept a number as its argument. Okay. So this char at is where, okay, you pass in maybe the index to which you want to get the value. So if I want to check for character um, at index 4, okay, let me clear my terminal. Then let me come back here and say node index. You see, it is O, it is the character O. And if we come back here, we see H has the index of 0, E has the index of 1, L has the index of 2, this other L has the index of 3, and then O has the index of 4. So that's why it is giving us O. Okay. Then this other thing we can also do. If you don't want to write it that way, you can say greetings and then you use this curly bracket and you can pass in the number you want. So if you don't want to use that char at, right? If you don't want to use char at, you can use this notation to get the value. So this is in a way trying to, okay, this is in a way trying to do the same thing as the character at method. Okay, so you can use any of those to achieve the same result. I hope we are following. If you have any question, you can actually uh, ask on the comments or on the chat section. Okay, I hope we are on the same page.
Yes, yeah. But I
Okay,
don't know. Can I ask a question?
okay, yes, sure.
My own question is, I understood what you did, how to get the particular character, the number, and all that. But our question is, why do we do this? What's the whole reason?
What's the use of using these functions, right, or these methods?
No, this function in particular to get the character.
Okay, okay, let me explain why. Okay, so I'm going to give a real life example. Let's take for example, as a backend engineer, someone is filling a form. Okay, let's say you create an API to maybe register someone, and uh, you ask the person to put in his full name, right? And let's just say you ask the person for his first name and his last name, and then let's assume that his first name is Dominic, for example, Dominic, right? Let's say the person's first name is Dominic. let's say this data came in from the front end and in this form, first name Dominic, and you want it that before saving this particular data, right, you want the first letter to be in capital, then before you join this other part, right, you want the D to be in capital before, or for whatever name the person sends, you want to check first and make this the first letter capital before adding the rest. So how do you do that? That's where you will need most of these things, right? I know most people will be thinking, why don't I? We are just doing it now. Why don't I just come and change it to capital? No, you won't do that with people's data. You won't want to sit in the back end or go to the database and be trying to change each person's first name one by one. So the simple thing to do is you could do something like this. You can say console.log, then you now say, hello, what did you say? You can say first name dot character at 0 dot to uppercase, right? Then you can now say plus first name dot slice, and then you slice from 1 to the end. I think this is going to give us that valid result. Okay, can you see?
Yes, I can
Hello.
see that it makes.
Yeah, so now I'm able, let me wrap this so that everything will show in one line. I think I should take this to the next line. Okay, so imagine this kind of data comes in. You've been able to transform that data before saving it on your database, right? Okay, so that's one use of this, right? Um, there are also other uses of this kind of um, um, the char set or the char character art, right? But this is just like one of its application. But at least you know that you can use it to get a particular value from an index. Okay, so let's continue with our slide. Um, okay, let me share my screen so you guys are going to see. Um, okay, so I've been able to explain the length property, the to uppercase to lowercase, and then character arts. Okay, now let's go on. Then we also have the index of property. So the index of property is used to return a search value, right? Let's say you're trying to search for the letter E in hello, for example. It's going to return the first occurrence of that particular letter. Do you understand? It's going to return that first occurrence. So if um, if you have let's say something like book, right? And you know book has double O, and then you're searching for O in that particular string, it's going to return the first one. But then if what you're trying to search for doesn't exist, then um, it's going to return -1, right? It's going to output -1. Then we have replace. Replace is used to change a character with another character or character set in a string. So let's see how these two works, index of and replace in VS Code. So let me go back to VS Code and share my screen. Um, all right, so we are here. So let's see. I could do something like this. Let let greetings equals to hello, for example, and then we can say we want to log out um, greetings. Um, we want to check the index of E, for example. So say greetings index of, then let's say you want to check where the index of E is. What index is E, right? So we want to know where E, the position of E based on its index. So we'll clear this out and then we'll come back here and write node index. You see that it has the index of 1 as a number, right? So if you can see it, H has the index of 0, E here has the index of 1. Okay. All right, then let's continue. Let's say we are looking for W. W is not there, right? So if you run that, you would see a result of -1. -1 tells you that the index is not actually there, right? So once you're trying to search using index of, when you try to search and you see -1, you should just definitely know that the value you're looking for is not there. Okay. All right. So let's continue. So we also have replace, right? So let's say hello world, and I want to replace world with I want to replace world with people, for example. We say string dot replace, and then inside here you pass in the string you're looking for, the search value, which is world, and then I want to replace that with people. Okay, so if we run this now, you'll see hello people instead of hello world, right? I hope you guys are following up to this extent.
Yes, sir, we are following.
Okay, nice. I hope there is no question. Okay, someone is asking, is there any significance difference between single, double, and backtick? Okay, well, there is a difference between using single and double, right? Not really single and double. There is a difference between using backticks and then using single or double. There's a difference between it. If you're using single, if you're using a single or double quote, then and you are trying to use a variable in between the string, you have to concatenate it. But when you're using backticks, then there's what is called string interpolation, all right? Which I'm going to show you guys how that works. What's the difference between concatenating and interpolating a string? Okay, so I guess I just have to do that now. Okay, let's say let greetings equals to hello world, and then um, I say, okay, let me use a classic example. Let me say let name equals to um, Israel. Let location equals to um, Abuja, for example. So we're talking about the replace and the index of, right? And then I remember that I showed you guys on VS Code that you can replace a string by another string. You can also get the index of a particular string, right? I know, I remember I did that before my laptop tripped off. Okay, so I remember that the last thing I was trying to do was um, I talked about string concatenation and string interpolation, and I wanted to show you the difference between concatenation and interpolation. Okay, so this is how it works. If I want to concatenate strings, so concatenation is just simply bringing two strings together, just in simple terms. That's what concatenation means. So if I have hello, I have hi, and I want to maybe those two strings are not um, uh, I want to like bring those two strings to make one string, right? One long string, right? So I could use concatenation to do so, to bring those two strings together. So if I wanted to concatenate a sentence with those the name and the location, this is how I'll do it. I would say console.log my name is, then I'll keep space, then I'll do this name.
Sorry, sir, we can't see your VS Code.
Okay. Sorry about that. Let me share my VS Code now. Okay, hope you guys can see it.
Yeah, we can.
Okay, cool. So um, we do that and we say and I stay at, then I need to keep space here and space here. So I can then write location. So if I run that code, what do you think you're going to get? So if we run this code, this is what you are going to get. We say um, node index. Okay, my name is Israel and I stay at Abuja. Right. So the act of using this plus symbol that's in JavaScript to add different strings together, or add strings and maybe variables that also hold string values, right? The act of doing this is called concatenation, right? So if if we remove these spaces, right, everything is going to just be like choked up. My name is Israel and I stay at Abuja. So that's the advantages of those spaces we put here. Okay. So this is how you concatenate strings. Now, if I want to do the same thing but with string interpolation, so string interpolation is it's similar to concatenation. The only thing is that in string interpolation, um, you're not using a plus symbol to add the strings together, right? To concatenate it. Instead, you're using a different symbol, right? In place of where that variable is supposed to be, you then use that symbol and pass the variable inside that symbol. This is it. So if we say console.log, we want to do the same thing, but we want to use string interpolation instead of concatenation. So we'll do this. We'll say we'll use backticks. Remember, backticks is mainly used for string interpolation. I'll then say my name is, then this is the symbol you use to include that name. You would say dollar sign, curly bracket open, curly bracket close, then you now write name. Then you'd say um and I stay at, then you do the same thing for location. Dollar sign, bracket open and that bracket close, then you say location. So let's run this code again. Um, let's see what is the issue. It's saying location is not defined. Okay, okay, I spelled something different here. This location, I'm supposed to add I there. Sorry. So that's why it's giving that issue. So if I clear out my terminal and I come back and do node index, you see these two produce the same result, right? But here I'm using the concatenation, here I'm using string interpolation, right? So that's the main difference between both of them. Okay, that's the main difference. Then let me check this out. Okay, so then if you're using string interpolation, right, um, you're moving to the next line is also going to be like kind of, should I say, recorded by um, by JavaScript. So JavaScript will take this into consideration, right? But let's say I do that same thing here. I put the slash. Slash is like saying escape. You see here, your when you're doing string interpolation, right? Your next line is not going to apply here, right? It's not going to apply. But if you do that with string interpolation, right? It's going to reserve that next line and is going to show it. So that's one of the difference between concatenation, string concatenation. Like if you're using backticks and you're using single or double quotes, right? So that's the main difference why people would want to use either of them. So you can use them to achieve your results. Okay. Does anybody have any question? Okay. So what's the question? Mm. Okay. Someone is asking why there's a strike through on the why there's a strike through on the name. Okay. Let's come back here. So what VS Code is saying, name is depreciated, right? So the declaration was marked as depreciated here, right? So what they are simply just trying to tell us is like we shouldn't use name to name a variable because using name is depreciated when, or let's say deprecated. What deprecated means is like out of date or it's like out of use, something like that. It's not current. So I could do something like this. I could say my my name, something like that, right? If I use my name here and my name here, right, everything goes back to normal. Okay. And if we run our code, let me clear the terminal and then let me run it again. Everything still works well. So when you see that something is deprecated, doesn't mean that it won't work, sha. It just means that it will work, but that's kind of like the old something something that, should I say, out of date. Yeah, is out of date. It's not current. Okay. So that's what that deprecated means, and you're going to also come across it when you start working with libraries and all the stuff. Okay, someone said, let me explain interpolation and concatenation once more. Okay, so when you're trying to concatenate strings together, right? You use the plus sign, the plus symbol. See it here, this plus symbol. You're using the plus symbol to put those strings together, right? But if you're trying to interpolate them, right, using string interpolation, first you're going to use backticks for the beginning and the end of the string, right? Then in between that string, you can add variables that have, let's say, strings or even numbers. Okay, so I could say something like let age equals to 20, for example. Let me make this longer. Okay, let me wrap what I'm trying to do. I'll say location, then I'll say and I am, let's say 20 years. Oh, let me not use uh, literal this. Let me use the age. I am, then I'll say plus age plus years old. Let me comment this line. Okay, I come back here and I let me clear my screen first. Clear my screen, then I'll come back and run this. You see, I'm supposed to keep space here. So clear and then Let me run that for the last time. My name is Israel. I stay at Abuja and I am 20 years old, right? So you can concatenate strings with strings. You can concatenate strings with numbers, like the way we've done here, right? If we want to do the same thing with, let me um, let me comment that and come back here. Let me do the same thing here. Here I don't need to use any plus. I'll just say, and my age is, then I'll use the dollar sign, bracket open bracket close, and I'll say age, yes, let's just say my age is then that age, right? Let me come here and try to run it, clear, then node index. You see, it works, it still works, right? So here you see that I'm not using plus, I'm not closing the string and closing the string and opening it again, right? Here you see that you close your string before you use the plus, the concatenating symbol, before you now write my name, then the plus again, then you now have to open your string, then you close it before you start using your plus. But here you just write what you want to write. Everything, it would be inside the backticks. You just write what you want to write. My name is, then when you want to add the variable, you use dollar sign, bracket open bracket close, and then the value that you want to actually interpolate, right? So this is how you do it using string interpolation. So is there any other question? Yeah, so concatenation and interpolation does the same thing. The difference is that in concatenation, you're using plus and either single quotes or double quotes, while when you're interpolating strings, you use backticks. But and also when you enter a new line using backticks, like when you're interpolating strings, uh, the JavaScript is going to reserve that, it's going to recognize that new line that you're entering and then output your string the same way you wrote it, right? But if you're using concatenation, JavaScript won't reserve that next line that you're trying to do, to just add everything together. I hope you know this one here, this next line here, um, this this is like saying this line 7 was supposed to go further, but since I wrapped the content, that is why it's coming to this line. I guess I can remove that so that everything might just be on the same line. So we have hello, my name is this and my age is that. Everything is on the same line. Okay, I hope there is no other question. Okay, so I also noticed that there's some people that find it hard to still run the code, right? Uh, there are people that still find it hard to set up their environments to run the code. If you have issues with that, just come and click on File, click on Open Folder, then it will ask you for the folder you want to open. So you choose, when you choose the folder you want to open, don't double click on that folder, just click on that folder once and go and click down on select folder. Once you select folder, it will open up that folder and then you can then run your terminal. So to run your terminal, you just come and click on terminal and then click on new terminal to launch your terminal. Then from there you can start writing whatever you want to write, or writing your JavaScript rather. Okay, so since the absence of question, I guess I need to continue on the slide. DA cat, you tried what I said you should do and it's not working. Okay, I don't know why isn't it working. It's supposed to work. Um, how did you do it? You're supposed to If you follow my procedure, if you follow the procedure well, it should work out. Unless inside why this might not work out for you is the folder you're selecting, is there another folder inside? Because that's another thing. If you have a folder inside the folder you're trying to open with VS Code, then it will not work. Make sure that the folder you're opening, inside that folder, like the folder you're opening with VS Code, inside that folder you just have a file, maybe named index.js, not that folder that you're trying to open with VS Code having another folder inside it. It's just supposed to, the folder is just supposed to contain a file, index.js. Okay. You guys say you can't see my screen. You can't see my screen. So I hope you guys can see it now. Hello.
Yes, you can.
Hello.
Yes, you can see your
Okay,
screen.
cool. Let's go further. So another method of the string data type is split. You can use split to split a string, right? So some people say you use split to convert a string to an array, right? But yeah, an array of strings based on a particular specified uh, uh, operator, or like something you specify to separate those strings. Let's take for example, uh, let's say I have a string with that's separated by the pound symbol, the hash symbol, right? Um, let's take something like this. Let's say let food items equals to, right? Then say rice. Let me use hash or pound symbol, beans, yam, uh, egg. Let me just let me just say those things, right? And I want to have um, I want to have this as an array. I can't work with the individual food items, so I need to separate them into arrays before I can then start working on them. So the simple way
Yes, please,
um,
we can only see your
to
slide.
separate them. Oh, you only see my slide. Oh, I'm so okay. Can you guys can see it now, right?
Thank you.
Okay,
Yes, we
cool.
can see now.
Okay. I won't make that mistake again. Okay, let's say console.log. So I want to split this out so that I can work with the individual food items that we have there. So I'll then say food items dot split. Now we want to split. We want to split it by a separator, something that is common that separates each of them, right? Each of what I want to split out. So I could say I want to separate by the hash separator. So this is going to be your string dot split, and then you then pass in the separator you want to separate those strings. If we clear out our terminal and we run that node index and press enter, you guys can see that now we have an array of strings. The first value of that array is rice, the second one is beans, the third one is yam, and the fourth one is egg. You see, so we've been able to convert this string into an array. You can also split by um, any other criteria. For example, this might not make sense, but let me say I want to split by the letter A, and I call node index. You see, rice, then BE. Then anywhere that we see A, we'll just cut that and keep that as the first value. Then from here, beans, then after y, the next thing is a. We cut that out and we save that as another string. Then here we take that to, you see, you can split by any value you want to actually split. This is this is now let me give a classic example of where this is being used. If you've sent bulk SMS to people before and um, the service you use tells you that when you type people's number, you should use comma to separate them. Right? So you type 080 whatever comma 08 or 081 whatever you type 081 you type something comma, right, like that. Then then later you type your text under maybe whatever you want to type, you type it under, then you now click the send button. So when this goes to the back end will then say the phone numbers dot split, then the value there will be comma. Okay, so if we do that, let's test it with this phone numbers. Of course, the phone numbers are going to come arrive at the back end as strings. So we'll say that let me put another phone number, and then let me do that. And then if we split by a string, if we split by a comma, right, you see that now we have the individual numbers and we can work on each of them, right? We can work to send the same message to each of those numbers, right? So some might tell you comma and space, comma and space, comma and space. I think that one is more common. They will also split by comma and space, right? So if you do that, it will still work out. If you only split by comma, then you have the space included. You see, this space here, this space, this space will be included in the string. So you need to know what you're actually trying to split by, okay? So that when you're splitting, you won't have any issue, okay? Then let's go back to our slide.
Mr. Victor, please, I have a question.
Okay.
My terminal is not returning um, the command.
Did
That,
did you
uh,
save? Did you press Control S to save?
yes, it is saved.
Okay. The where your terminal is pointing to and where the file is, are they actually the same?
Yes, I wrote Node. Like the title of my file is practice. So I wrote
Okay.
Node practice, but it does not return any value.
Okay. So have you tried node practice.js? Let's see if that works.
Okay, let me try that. It did not still work. It just came blank.
Okay. I guess that might mean that you didn't save your um you didn't save your file. Are you very sure you saved it?
Let me do again.
Press um press Control S while your cursor is on the file that you just edited.
Okay.
Then go back to your terminal and try to run it. Let's see.
All right. Ah, okay.
It
It
works.
worked. Yes.
Okay, so which means you didn't save before. So
But
if
what you wrote, let me, okay, I can't share my screen now.
yeah, but you notice that when I write, I don't save, right? But it
Yes.
automatically saves. Okay, this is how I'm doing it. What are you guys seeing now? You're seeing my VS Code, right?
Yes.
Okay, so the way I do that is I come to File and then I activate Auto Save. Can you see that?
Okay.
So when I activate Auto Save, as I'm typing, it's automatically saving it.
Okay.
Cool. So every other person can type, can activate that, because people like really most times forget to save, right? So someone is asking, is it possible to show me how to run VS Code afresh? Because I'm still having issues. Okay, guys, this is how to do it. Click file. Okay, let's assume that, eh, let's assume that you have a file on your desktop named wait, you have a file on your desktop named let's say it's named CodeCamp. Okay, let's just reason that you have that file named CodeCamp. I'll show you how to do it this time. Just give me some few minutes. Okay, take for example, I have this is my laptop screen, right? This is my laptop screen. I'm here saved on my desktop, right? So this is what I'll do. First, I'll look for, I'll open CodeCamp. Sorry, I'll open VS Code. So I'll just, I'm using open. Don't mind it, it's open. Okay, let me close this out. Let's imagine that I don't have any project open here. Let me even close my VS Code, right? And mm, mm, let me come to a new screen. Let's assume that I don't have any VS Code open. This is what I do. As out there, I hope you guys can see my screen. Hello.
Yeah, we can.
Okay, I open my VS Code, right, and it launched. Now it launched, but there's nothing on it, right? It's just there. The next thing I'll do is I'll click on open file, right? Open file asks me where do I want, which file do I want to use, or which, oh, did I say open file? Sorry. I click on open folder, right? So it will ask me which folder do you want to open. Let's assume I'm on my desktop now, right? And now I want to use CodeCamp, right? I want to use the folder CodeCamp, because CodeCamp has my index.js that I'm working with. Just come and click on CodeCamp. Then after clicking on Code, when I click on open, it would actually open up the CodeCamp, because if I click here now, you see that we have CodeCamp here and we have index.js. Okay, now if I click on index.js, it will show me the content of that file. Then if I want to open my terminal, I just come and click here on terminal, new terminal. So it is going to open my code camp for me, right? Then I can just type, if I want to execute this code, I'll just type node index and press enter. It executes it for me. Should I
Sorry.
redo this again? Should I do it?
No, I think it's
Because my
understood.
folder, no, please do it again. I think my folder has this VS code on it. It's called code camp. Just like I said with my phone, my sorry.
Sorry.
Okay, so let me,
Mr. Victor, sorry. What I wanted to know is
yeah.
uh, JS file. Did you created it inside CodeCamp? the folder KodeCamp.
Mm-hmm.
Or you create it, so the file is inside the KodeCamp.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yes. Yes, and make sure that the file is inside the folder that you're trying to open with VS Code. If you have another folder inside that folder you're trying to open with VS Code, you will not be able to run the file that you want to run. Like the file you want to run actually should be inside the that you're trying to open with VS Code. Again, I'll open code. I'll open VS Code. Right, I have VS Code here. Click on it to open it. VS Code launch, but it's by default my VS Code launched with the last project I worked on. So let's say let me assume this doesn't exist, nothing exists here. I'll come and click on open folder. Then it will ask me which folder do I want to open. On my desktop, I want to open CodeCamp. Right, CodeCamp has index.js inside it. So I'll just come, I won't double click on this CodeCamp, I'll just click on it. Then I'll click on open. You guys will see something at the bottom of your screen named select folder and cancel. But I'm using Linux, that's why mine looks different. So once I click open, it will open up, or it open that folder, right? CodeCamp, right? Then it open the files. It will show, it will list out the files and folders inside that particular CodeCamp folder. But here inside this CodeCamp folder, I just have index.js as the only file that is there. So if I click on index.js now, it shows me the content. Then let's imagine that that terminal is not there. So if you want to start up the terminal, you just click on terminal, then you click on new terminal. So it's going to launch the terminal for you. And then if you want to run your script, you just say node index, then press enter. Right, it's going to launch it for you. Then you can also activate your autosave by going to click on file, then click on autosave. I hope everybody understands it now. Who doesn't still understand?
In my in my system, my index.js is not saved in my code camp.
And
All I
then
find
create
that
one. Now create one. Click sorry, mute yourself. Sorry, please. Create, come here and click new file, or anywhere around here. You can just right click and click on new file. Then inside this new file, when you click on new file, you just type the name of the file you want to call it. If it's maybe index, you just say index.js. If it is I don't know, whatever I want to call it, practice.js, whatever I want to call it. Okay. So I hope everybody understands what I just did. Hello.
Yes, sir, we do. We do. I
Okay.
do.
Okay. Cool. No problem. So um, that's fine. So let's go back to the slide itself. I hope you guys can see that slide.
You can see the slide of string properties and methods.
Okay, cool. So I want to talk about trim. So trim is used to remove white spaces at the beginning and the end of a string. All right. So what is white spaces? Does anybody know what white spacing is? What white spaces are? Does anybody know? Can
Really?
They
anybody
are
tell me?
just spaces. They are just empty character or space.
Okay. I hope you guys can see my VS Code.
Yes, we can see.
Yes. Yes, you can.
Okay, so trim is used to remove the spaces at the end or at the beginning of a string, right? So if I had something like this, maybe space hello and then a lot of space, let me log that out. Let me just call this H, just H, and I'll log out H, clear. There's that space here, and there's that space somewhere here, I guess. So, but if we want to remove those spaces at the both end, I'll just say dot trim. So if we say dot trim and we run the same code, you see that the hello, the space at the end of hello and the space at this other side too is removed. Okay, so where someone might be asking, where is this even, why do we even need to know all these things? This is practical stuff. Let's take for example, someone is trying to create his username, right? And some people, they use autofill to fill in their form. So they just click, maybe the place is supposed to write their first name and their last name and their username. They use autofill, so it just autofills it. Sometimes that autofill usually adds extra space at the end. Maybe your username is Ubong, so now write UBONG, and then it might have a space at the end, right? And then you might not want to save this right directly to your database with that space, because at the end of the day, if the person tries to come to login and the person uses that username that way, maybe he uses it, maybe he type it in without using it, putting those space, right? It's going to become a problem, because the person might not even know that the space was actually added, something like that. So you most times need to trim the string before saving it on your database. Sometimes the front end might trim the string before sending it to you. But if the front enders don't do it, then yes, the back end engineer has to trim it. Okay. Mm. So there's no question on that. Mm.
The question I have is, why do we have more brackets open and closed in the after the trim?
Yes, that's because the trim is not a property. The trim is a method. If you don't call it with that bracket, it's not going to work. It will just tell you that there's a function named trim. Oh. Yes, it's true, there's a function named trim, yes, but you're not calling that function or that method to have effect on the string, right? So that's why you must have those double braces there say call me, like call the trim. So if you don't put it, then you can't call the trim. So now it has actually removed the space at the end, sha.
Sorry, sir.
Okay, so mm,
Please,
all
sir.
right, so
A
I
question.
guess okay, okay,
Sir, I want to ask a question.
okay. Ask.
I wanted to ask, like, can you give us an example of property? And we already know this is a method, but can you give us an example of property of the string?
Yeah. So the length is one property of a string, right? So the length gives you, we can't call length like this, right? We can't say length and then we put in this bracket. If you try to run it, it will tell you something, that the length is not a function, right? So it's telling you the length is not a function. So you call functions, or let's say methods, you call methods like that, like with these curly braces. But if you have a property, right, you call the property by writing this without calling. So anywhere you see this dot length, or anything that maybe it has the dot notation but there is no bracket at the end, just know that is a property, right? But if it has those brackets, right, just know that it's actually a function or a method somewhere. Okay. So if we run that now, we see it returns the value of 5, which is the length, right? Which is the length of this particular string name Ubong, UBONG, five characters. inside that string. Okay.
Sorry,
Thank you,
please,
Bob.
Mr. Victor, I'm trying to
Yeah.
run the same code, right? But
Okay.
my VS Code is showing me error. It's saying module not found. Cannot find module.
Which module not found? What? Okay. What kind of module?
Via stack or something.
Okay. Um, are you sure you're right? There's something you're doing wrong. Is it that you're not running the correct file name, right? Maybe the file you saved and what you're trying to run are two different names. So
No, it's the
maybe
same
that's
thing.
why it's not coming up.
Yes. I
It's the
actually
same
use
thing.
the same index. Yes, it's the same thing.
Yes, sir. Please, that was the same thing that was happening to me before you rectify. So it's actually going to be that is saving, as in that his folders are not, as in they are not visible to the Node.js. That's what I can
Okay,
come up with.
okay. His folder is not visible to Node.js. Okay, true, true. I guess that's the issue. So, um, your 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 terminal should be at the same place where you have your that folder. See, I have desktop slash codecamp. If I press ls now, you see that my codecamp contains index.js. If you are on Windows, you're going to use dir. So if you press dir and you click and you press enter, right? If you type
Yeah.
dir and you press enter and it doesn't show you the file that you're trying to work with, then it means you're in the like you're not in the correct location.
Okay, first I should use ls or dir.
No, use dir if you're on Windows. If you're on Linux, use ls.
Okay.
Yeah. So if it doesn't show you the name of the file that you're writing your code into, then it means you're not at the right place.
I guess that's the thing because it's showing user PC at the index. No, I don't think I'm in the right direction.
Okay. So someone is asking, you are using let more often. Can you use var likewise? Yes, I can use var. So I could say var ubon equals to that, and let me clear my terminal and then write node index and press enter. You see, it still works. I can use const and node index. It will still work. Okay, so anyone is going to work at this point. So let's continue. So apart from this, there are more other properties. I think there's one I didn't mention. I didn't mention about includes. So I'll just talk about includes briefly. So you can test if your string includes um, a particular value, right, or a particular character. For example, I could say h dot includes, right? So this is going to return a boolean. So does I want to check, does the variable h, the, the value of the variable h, does it contain o, for example, right? Does it contain o? If I come and run that here, node index, you will see that a true is being sent back. A true is being sent back, right? Let me check if this h includes the letter z. So I'll say node index. You see now it's showing false instead of true. So there are others apart from what I've shown you, but the ones I've shown you are like the more popular ones that are like being used. But then it's not limited to what I've shown you. There's more out there. Okay, so let's move on. So I hope everybody is understanding this. There's nobody that is left behind. Hello. I hope
So can
everybody's
you?
understanding it.
Yes, we can understand.
Okay. If you don't understand, just ask your question on the comment or on the chat section. Sorry. Okay, so now we have talked a lot about JavaScript string. Let's go to number. What's the number data type? The JavaScript number data type is a set of numeric characters, right? So example 25, 200, 2.5. Then we also have special number types which are like infinity or negative infinity, right? And this value, this is the value return if you calculate number outside the largest possible number, right? The largest possible number that JavaScript can handle. Infinity can be generated if you divide, if you try to divide a number by zero, right? So let's take maybe let's say 500 divided by zero is going to generate an infinity for you. Then we have NaN. NaN is generated when you try to perform an arithmetic operation on a non-arithmetic, a non-numeric string. For example, uh, this what's now take note of this word non-numeric string. Non-numeric is what it means. Let me show you, let me share you my um, VS code. Okay, so let's say const 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 let me call this num1. Const num1 should be equals to, let's say, 20, for example. If I say 20, if I log out uh 20 divided by 0, let me run it and let's see. You see, if we say minus 20 divided by 0, would have a negative infinity. Okay, if we said something like, let me see, 999999999 times, let's say 9999999, I guess that should, okay, it rounds it up. But let me say if I try to erase that, so I'll explain what this asterisk and double asterisk actually mean. We have an infinity because doing this is going to result in a very large number that JavaScript might not be able to handle. So what does JavaScript does? It just returns back an infinity to just tell you that the number is really big. I can't really handle it, so I can't give you the true result. So I'm going to give you an infinity. Now, double asterisk means raising something to the power of another thing. Like, for example, I'm saying this value here, this number should be raised to the power of this number, which is going to actually result in an infinity, right? Then, if NaN is generated by you trying to perform arithmetic on non-numeric strings. For example, if we say 20 times hello, 20 times hello, if you come back and try to run this, you see, it generates not a number, okay? 20 divided by hello. Now, this is a non-numeric string. What if it was a numeric string? That is a string that contains numbers. Let's say 20 times 10. What do you think the answer will be? It will give us the correct answer. Okay, so you see, it says 200. Now, some people might say, okay, this is a string, right? Okay, let's do something. Okay, let me say 20 plus 10, right? Why is it giving us 2010 at this point? But let's say if I do 20 minus 10, it will give us 10, right? Why? This is a major question JavaScript developers share. Let's say people that are new to JavaScript that maybe they've written other programming languages, right? And they start working with JavaScript, they are going to notice this. Other programming languages will tell you that this is not possible. to subtract a, a string from a number. It will tell you that it's not possible, but with JavaScript, uh, a lot of things are possible actually. So why is this happening? The reason this is happening is because when JavaScript tries to perform this arithmetic, JavaScript looks at the sign you have here. Remember that you can use plus for two things. We can use plus to concatenate and we can use plus to add. So if you're using plus at this point and this is a string, JavaScript is going to um, try to coerce this 20, right? It's called coercion. So it tries to coerce this 20 to become a string. Then it then adds this 20 to this 10 so that it will give you the result of 2010. That is why if you run this uh, statements, this set of statements, you're going to see that you have 2010, right? Because JavaScript is taking it as, okay, since you have a string here and you have a number, I'll try to coerce this number to become a string, then I'll add it to this 10. But if you're not using the plus symbol, let's say you're using minus, JavaScript is going to work on this guy. So it's going to check, it's going to take 20 as a number and it's going to check, is the value of this string a valid number? So it's going to check, is 10 a valid number? Yes, 10 is a valid number. So it's going to coerce this to becoming a number, right? Then it's going to then do the arithmetic and give you the correct result. Okay. So that's why if you run node index and we press enter, you see that now it's giving 10 as the answer, right? So instead of 20, and then you can do other things here. You can say 10, 20 times 10, and it's going to work. 200, 20 raised to the power of 10, okay, 1024 or 10240000. What? Okay, so I hope that you guys understand that part. Is there any question? No question. Okay, fine, no question. Let's continue. Um,
So there's a question though, please. Just when you think in 20 minus 10, if you and you gave it 10, if you do the 20 plus 10, it won't give you a 30, but I give you 20 10. So then we can
yeah,
make it like for you to make it a 30.
okay, so if you want to do this, then you have to convert this number to sorry, you have to convert this string to a number before doing your arithmetic. And the simple way to do it is by using the function name pass int. So if you say pass int of 10 plus 20, let's clear my screen first, right? If you use pass int and then you run that, um, what is happening? Okay, I didn't spell pass int well. Sorry. Pass int. Sorry. Yeah, cool. Pass int. Right? Let's say 20 plus. Now, pass int is a function that accepts a string, right? It accepts a string as its argument, right? And then it converts that string to a number if the content of that string is a valid number. So if I say node index now and press enter, you see that it gives us now the value of 30. You see? But if we remove the pass int now, that is when we'll have that value of 2010. So if I run this again, you see it has 2010. So using pass int is like telling JavaScript, I want you to like convert the value of this 10, like sorry, convert this 10 from being a string to being an integer if the characters inside the string are a valid number. Then after converting it to a string, add it to 20. So I hope I have answered your question.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay, cool. So that's how that works. Okay,
But
we have
sorry, what
pass.
could be
Okay,
an invalid number?
an
Sorry,
invalid
can
number
you hear
will be
me?
like hello. Yes, an invalid number will be like hello or hi. So trying to do this is going to
Okay, okay.
concatenate 20 and high to okay, it's going to give you not a number, sorry, because first trying to convert this, right? Trying to convert this is going to generate NaN, which is not a number. So it's just going to output that. You're trying, so it's just like trying to okay. If you remove this as a whole and you say 20 plus high, it is just going to concatenate them for you. It is going to be 20 high. You can see. But then if you use pass int, right, it's going to give you not a number because what you're trying to do here is going to generate is not going to generate a number that you can use for your arithmetic. Do you understand?
Yes, sir. Yes, I do.
Okay. So I hope there is no other question. Okay, so in the absence of question, let me share my slide again with you guys. Okay, so we've trashed out this one. Then let's see numeric operators. Okay, we have addition, which is plus, subtraction, minus, division is slash, multiplication is asterisk. I think we've used this already. Then we've used power, but then look at this modulus. Modulus. Now, what does modulus do? Now, modulus is a special kind of division. So modulus doesn't return the result of your division. It returns the remainder of the result, right? The remainder of your division, right? As a result, is going to return that as a result. This is what I mean. So let me share my VS Code now so that you're going to see what I mean. Okay, we are here now. Um, let's say 20 divided by, let me log out, let me log out 20 divided by, or let's say num1 divided by 5, right? The answer will be 4, right? Because 5 times 4 is 20. Note index 5 times 4 is 20, so 20 divided by 5 is 4, right? Okay, cool. That's understood, right? But when we divide when we divide 20, right, by 5, when we say 5 divided by 20, right, we are we see the result, right? But when we say modulus 20 modulus 5, what we are saying is give us the remainder after when you divided these two numbers. So if I say 20 modulus 5 and I run it, you see that the answer is 0 because when we divide 5, when we divide 20 and 5, right? 20 divided by 5, there is no remainder when we do that, right? But if we say 22, right, and we run that code, you see that there's remainder of 2. You see, so you can use this modulus symbol to check if there is a remainder, right? Because it's going to always return the remainder of your arithmetic. Is going to check and return the remainder, not the result. Okay, so that's the difference between using modulus and using division. Division will return the value, right? While modulus is going to return the remainder if there is going to be any remainder. If there is no remainder, it's going to return 0. Okay, so let's continue. Then there is what is called the math object in JavaScript. Right? In JavaScript, the math object provides a set of built-in methods and properties for performing mathematical operations and calculations. Right? For example, here in our VS Code, you can't get the value of pi maybe by just typing maybe pi, for example. Right? Pi is always 22/7 or 3.142. but you can't just get that value by just like maybe saying like just saying pi. You have to type the 3.142. But what if I told you that there are constants that keep those values, and there are also functions that you can use that come with this math object that you can use to get all these things. So now you see you have Euler's what's it called? Euler's number or Euler's number, right? Which is math.e. If you print it out, you would see, let me print it out on my VS Code. Let me share my VS Code. Let's come back here. So if I said math.e, come here, clear this out and run that. So that's the Euler's number or Euler's number, whatever it's been called, right? That's it. And this is used by scientists to do whatever arithmetic they want to do. There's also pi, so there's math.pi, right? Math.pi is used to get the value of pi. So if we do that, we see 3.1415, it's mainly 3.142, right? There are others too. Um, there's they want to return square roots, so there's math. Let me share my screen. Let me share that particular slide. There's a place to actually do that. See it here. So math dot square roots sqrt2, which is going to return the square root of 2. So math of sqrt1 underscore 2 is going to return the square root of half. Then if you want to find the natural logarithm of 2, you can use this. So those are like constants, they never change, right? You can use them to do whatever you want to do. You have more of them: log n of 10, natural logarithm of 10, log 2e, returns the base algorithm of e, and whatever, log to the base of 10, and all those stuff. Then we have math objects, right? So math objects are like math object methods. Like, they are like methods that come with um, the math object, right? So the object this math object comes with properties and it comes with its own methods. So we see math.round, right? Round is used to round to the nearest integer, right? Then we have math.ceil, math.floor, math.trunk. Trunk just returns the integer part of a a number, right? Then we have math.sign. It returns 1 if x is positive. What you pass in here is positive. It returns -1 if it's negative, and it returns 0 if what you're passing here is 0. Okay. Then math.power is used to raise x to the power of y. So if you don't want to use the double asterisk, you can use math.pow. Then you pass in the two values you want. The value and the value of x will be the value itself, while y is what you want to raise x to. Then we have math.sqrt if you want to find the square root of a particular number. So math.sqrt, if you pass in maybe 100 here, it is going to find the results for you. Then we have math.abs, right? It's similar to math.trunk, right? Okay, but math.trunk only returns the integer part. It doesn't okay, it's not similar to math.trunk. This one returns the integer part, like the whole number part of a particular number you pass to it. But math.absolute returns the positive value, right? Absolute or positive value of x. So here, if you say something like 3.142, right, and you pass that 3.142 as this x, math.trunk is going to return 3 as its value, right? So I get here, if you pass -3.142, it should return -3. But here in maths.abs, if you pass in 3.142, is going to return 3.142. If you pass in -3.142, it's going to return back 3.142, right? So the absolute is like saying the positive um, value of what you're trying to do. Okay, right? So let's move on. Math.round is used. I didn't pass in an argument here, but math.round accepts an argument. It's used to round. I think I talked about it before. Okay, see math.round here. It's used to round. Um, okay, don't worry about this. Returns a decimal number. No, it doesn't return. Uh, I wanted to write math.random. I think that's what I wanted to write here, not round. Math.random. So math.random is used to create random numbers, right? Random decimal numbers. Not it's not round, it's random. Right. Let me share my VS Code so that we can practice some of what I've just talked about now. Okay. So I hope you guys can see my VS Code. Hello.
Yes, sir, we can see.
So if
You
we
can see,
say
sir.
yeah, okay, if we say math.random, if we say math.random here, I don't know why it's saying console. Okay, console is like that. Okay, don't worry. Math.random, right? And if we run it a couple of times, it's going to be generating random numbers for us, but random numbers that are below zero. See, but sorry, are above zero but are below one. So 0 point something, 0 point something, 0 point something, right? And then of course you can always convert them to whole numbers. You can do something like this times 10 if you want them to range from 0 to 9, right? 0, 9, but they are always going to be in like decimal, right? So let me pick one of these numbers. I guess I like this one. So I'll copy it and I'll show you the difference between math.floor, math.floor, math.round. Let's take this number. Let me put it as num1, for example, right? We have that as num1. Let me round this number up. So I say num1 dot seal. Sorry, I would say math dot c seal. So I want to round it to the ceiling, right? Return the smallest integer, but don't worry about that. So let's pass in num1, right? So this is going to round up. Let's see now that it's going to return 1. Should it should return 1. Okay, it's returning 2. Sorry, right? It's returning 2. Now what this does is, as far as you have um as far as you have decimals here, right? No matter what the number is here, it's always going to round this up. So it's always going to add 1 to this value and return that value. And it's going to return the integer part. So if this was 2, for example, and we clear our terminal and come back here, we are going to see 3. No matter what the value of this, the next integer is, even if it is, let's say 4, right? And we come back and run this code, it's always going to return back 3, right? 2.4 something. Even if this is 6, right? It's always going to return back 3. Now, it's always like kind of rounding up. It's going to increment. It's going to increment this value, right, and return it alone. But if we say math.floor is going to round down. It's like saying it's not. It's just going to return whatever it is. So we have 2.6 here. If we run that, it's going to return 2. So no matter how many times we or what value we have, even if it is 1, right, it's going to return 2. Even if you have 8 here, it's going to still return 2. But then math.floor rounds up if the number is greater than 5, but then it's going to round down if the number is less than 5. It's going to round up if the number is greater than or equal to 5. It's going to round down if the number is less than 5. This is what I mean. If I said math.round here, the value is going to be 3. So let me clear out the terminal and then let me run that. You see that the value is 3, right? 2.88. Since this next value is higher than 5, right? Or even if it is 5, it's going to round it up. It's going to return 3. Okay. But if this was 4, for example, and we run that code again, you see, it's returning back 2. So as far as that number is less than 5, it's going to round it down. That's the main difference between both. Then, if we said math.trunc, it's going to return the whole number, right? The whole number part of that particular string. You see, it's returning 2. If this was 5, it's going to just return 5 alone, right? 5.9, or it's still returning 5, right? If this is minus 5, it should return minus 5. Oh, yes, it should return minus 5. Right, that's how math.trunc works. Now, math.absolute is going to return 5 at this point. Or it's going to return 5 points, whatever we have here. So we say the math.abs. You see, it's returning the absolute value. So whether this is 5 or minus 5, right? 5 or even if it's minus 5, you always have the positive value being returned, right? So that's how that works. Okay, so let's continue. We are going to soon finish. We just have some few slides to cover, and then that's it. Math.object, math.random. I've corrected this. Okay, then let's talk about the booleans. The booleans simply represent logical value of true or false, and booleans can be gotten by trying to compare two or more values. So these are how you compare values in booleans. So we already know boolean is just true or false. You can use equal to, right? This is like saying equal to, or like comparing two values if they are equal. Equivalent to is comparing the value and comparing the type of value, the type of that particular value. Then we have not equals to, which just compares the values. Not equivalent to compares values and the type of the values you're trying to compare. Then you have less than, greater than, less than, equal to, uh, and then greater than or equal to. And let's see how this plays out in our VS Code, shall we? Okay, so let's see. Let me share this. Let me share my VS Code. Okay, so let's see how that plays out. If we said on let me just compare numeric values. So I could say is 5 equals to 5. It's going to return back a true. Of course, you can just write is true, but you can't actually use that to do much. Is false. You know what? False. It's just going to return back false to you. Okay, but you want to compare two values, you can check if 5 is greater than 2, right? That's going to return a true to you. You can check is is hello is hello equals to hello, or someone should tell me what would be the value of this, true or false?
True.
Someone who says true, who is saying false?
David is saying true.
Okay.
True.
It's false.
Okay.
False.
Okay, Some people are saying true, some people are saying false. So hello is, the value is going to be false because hello and hello are not the same because one starts with small h and one starts with capital H. So the false have it. People that say false have it. All right. So there is this something you need to remember about JavaScript. JavaScript is case sensitive. So this hello is not the same thing as this one. Okay. Then let me also ask this one. Uh, is five equals to 5? What will be the answer?
True.
False.
No.
True.
Oh,
True.
okay. Why do you say it's true?
Because of the type conversion.
Uh, okay. Cool. Okay, so if we run that, you'll see that it's true. Right? Because JavaScript is going to try to convert the two of them to the same type, right? It will try to convert. I think it's going to try to convert 5 to being an integer, or it might convert this other 5 to be a string. But it's going to try and put the two of them on the same type, make two of them the same type, and then try to compare their values. But is this going to be true or false?
False.
False.
Okay.
False.
Why do you say false?
Because it's
Because
strict comparison. It's going to check for type and value.
Okay, that's correct. It's going to check for type and value. So if we run that, we'll see that there is a false there. Okay. So we can also check this. So what is this going to evaluate to?
True.
Hmm?
False.
true.
It's
That's
going to
true.
Hmm?
evaluate to false. No, it's true. True.
That's true.
Yeah, it's true.
So yeah, it's true. It's true that 5 is not equivalent to 5 in terms of its type, right? So
Yeah.
the answer is true. So, but what if I remove the first equal to?
False.
False.
Okay. So if people here are actually following, so for people that are not following, let me explain. What we've done here is we are checking if 5 is equal to 5, irrespective of data type, the type of data we are comparing. We are just comparing both of them, right? So it's so at this point, let me clear my. If we run it, it's going to give us a false, right? Okay, we are trying to compare if this and this are not the same. Sorry, right? So if 5 and 5 are truly not the same, then the result that will come back to us will be true. Like for example, if we want to check, is what we are saying here now is it true that 5 is not equals to 5? Right? It's false that 5 is not equals to 5, which means it's true that 5 is equals to 5. I don't know if that makes sense to people that are not really following. They are saying, we are saying, is it true that 5 is not equals to 5? It's false. That's why it is showing a false. But if we change this to like 11, we are trying to say, is it true that 5 is not equal to 11? Or we are just trying to say, is 5 is it true that 5 is not equals to 11? Yes, it's true that 5 is not equals to 11. So it will return back a true.
Okay. I get it.
uh So, but see, if we say is 5, so now what we are trying to say is now, is 5, is it true that 5 is not equals to 5? It's not true now. Abi?
Yeah.
Sorry, is it, yeah, it's sorry, it's true that 5 is equals to 5, but now we want to check if it is false. Like if it's not true that 5 is equals to 5, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to give us, this one is going to give us a false. So if we type node
Eh?
index, it's going to give us false.
How am I saying?
Eh? Why you shouted eh?
This particular this rule is only for this one
I said it.
policy.
You see? Is it confusing?
I was asking, is it only this rule does it only apply to when you have one equal to or two, or this due to the explanation of an equal to?
Okay.
Think what I
Okay.
say. Management
This
first.
one, this one applies when we have one equals to. Now, if we have double equals to, we
Management should
want to check.
management too. So it's not
We
your
want
fault.
to check. Oh, hello. Please, kindly mute though. Okay, so we want to. So now, if we are using one, like what we are saying here is not equal to, like the exclamation mark there is saying not equal to. So at this point, we are only just checking for the value. We are not checking for the type. You understand? So if we do this now, it's going to print out false for us because it is false that the two of them are not equal, which means it is true that both of them are equal, right? That's the values are equal. But if we use not equivalent to, what we are saying is we want to compare the value and also the type. So we're not going to coerce any of them. This one is a string, this one is a number, right? Even if they contain the same value, but since we are using strict equal to, we are saying we want to, apart from comparing the value, we want to also compare if the types are the same. So this one will now give us true. This true means that we know that 5 and 5, like they have the same value, but their 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 type is not the same. Do you understand? That's why it's giving us true at this point. So it's trying to say is the type of 5 and 5 not equal, right? Is well, what you are saying is it true that is it true that the type of 5 and this 5 are not equal? It's true now because this one is a number and this one is a string. Who is still finding it confusing? Who is still finding it confusing? Oh? Okay. Uh, so let's continue. You can use that to compare those values, right? Um, to make this simple, let's just use the same type. So if we say, is it true? This will give us a false, right? Let me clear out my terminal. This is going to give us a false because this is not true, right? But yeah, it's not true that these two are not equal. So it's just like saying it's true that both are equal. But at this point, we are checking if it is true that they are not equal. So it's not true. That's why it's giving us a false. Okay. So but if we check something like 4, is 5 not equals to 4? True. It's 5. 5 is not equals to 4. Okay. Let's continue. That's how to compare um, two values, right? To get a boolean. All right, then let me share in my slide. So I guess we are going to go for the final topic or the final thing to do today. I think uh, this should be the last before my thank you. Right. So the logical operator, right? So The logical operator is used to logical operations on Boolean values and the or and the not. These operators allow you to combine logical expression. Okay, so let's go back to our VS Code, and I'm going to explain how that works in case there are people here that don't understand how that works, because this might be your first time writing JavaScript program. You can also try what I'm trying to do, right? What if you want to check what if you want to check if someone's name is Victor and the person stays in um, China, for example, right? Let's just say let my name equals to Vic, Victor, and let my location equals to China, right? So we can do this. We can say if, not really if, uh, we want to log out, want to check if this person's name is Victor and then this person's location is China. So we can do this by saying um, my when my name is equals to Victor and my location should be equals to China, right? If we run this code, it's going to print out a true for us because it is true that the person's name is Victor and the location is China, right? So that's going to print out. Hmm? Sorry, China with capital letter C. Sorry. So if we do that, you're going to see a true because it's true that my name, which is this variable here, has the value of Victor, and this my location here has the value of China, right? So and works only when the left and the right hand sides are true. And you can compare more values, right? You can compare more values. You can say something like maybe and true. If you do that, it's going to still return true for you. But the condition with and is that every of the thing you're comparing has to be true for you to have the result of true. Let's take for example, my name should, if I check if my name is Peter and my location is China, this is going to result to a false because this actually is false, but this one is true, right? So it's not going to work. Okay, so with using and operator, right, everything has to be true. What you're comparing has to be true, or what you're comparing has to be true to get a true, right? But then what if uh, what if we use or? Now or works differently. Or makes sure that if there is at least one of the inputs that you are, or one of what you're comparing is true, right? The value would be true. At least if there is one thing that resolves to true in what you're comparing, then the result is going to be true. Like at this point, if we run this, everything will be true. So if we run that, you see that my name is Victor, yes, my location is China. Even if I change this to Peter, for example, and I come back and run this, you see that is still giving us a true because it, this one is false, right? But since at least there is one thing that evaluates to true, it would return a true as its value. So now the only way we can get false is if all the inputs we are putting in is false. Like if I change this to Rwanda, for example, that's when we can get a false because all the inputs here, the two inputs that I'm trying to compare with the or is giving me a false, right? Okay, then the not works as a negation, right? The not negates whatever you're trying to compare. Like for example, let's say you want to compare if my name is Peter, right? This is going to result to a false. But what if I want it that as I'm comparing it, if the answer is false, right? If the value is false, right? That what should be returned should be a true instead of a false. This is what I'll do. I'll just put that in brackets and come and put that not there. If I run that now, you see that it returns back a true. Let me clear my screen and run it again. You see, it now runs back a true. Okay, so as you can see, that's how like that works. So let's see. Um, if you just console.log true and you run this, the result is true. What if you wanted to console.log false without actually changing this true? You can just negate it. So negating is like spelling, is like saying give me the opposite of what I'm asking for. So if I run this code now, you'll see that the answer is false. Okay, I hope we understand up to this point. Is there any question? Does anybody have any question to ask? Nobody has a question. Hello? No question.
I have a question, Mr. Victor.
Okay. Okay, what's the
Maybe.
question?
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay. I don't know. Maybe if we, like you said from the beginning, if we go on, we would understand. But I just noticed that every time you want to run a new command, you clear the previous one. So does it mean that the terminal cannot run all the commands you have been, like cumulative commands you have, or codes you have entered?
Yeah, I clear it so that there won't be too much code so that as you're seeing my terminal, right? Let's say if I run five different, I don't know how to put it. If I run five different things on my terminal and then you see five different outputs, right? For you, it
Yes.
might not be confused, but I guess for someone else, the person might find it difficult to know which particular code I executed to get a particular output. So that's why I clear the when once I run a code and then you guys see the output, I try to clear it so that I everybody knows that okay, if I'm running another thing and it gives an output, it's for that particular code I just wrote.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much.
So I don't know if it makes you guys confused. Does it make you a bit confused about which code I'm running and all the stuff?
For me, if a terminal is execute a code, I'll just know that it's the last code you wrote that got executed.
Okay, so it won't be confusing for you.
No.
Okay, so I'll clear my terminal less often. I'll clear it less often so that it won't actually be too difficult for you to maybe follow up. Okay, sorry about that.
All right, sir.
Please, Victor,
Okay,
to ask. Please,
okay.
we can't start thinking about module not found because that's what I'm going in my system.
You say what?
I say
I can't hear you.
a particular student complained about his terminal saying module not found. So I want to please resolve the issue, please, if you don't mind.
Uh, that module not found. Okay. Um, let me go back to my VS Code. Right. Let me go back to my VS Code. Let me try to replicate it. Let me say node ix. This is it. The module not found. See it here. Module not found. It occurs when you try to run your terminal, right? You're trying to execute a file, right? That doesn't exist, right? Like for example, the last thing I wrote here was node ix. There's no file here named ix. Do you see? So it's going to tell you that what you're trying to execute doesn't exist there. So what you have to do is you have to open the folder at which where you want to run your stuff from, where you want to run your code from. You need to open that folder, right? And make sure that you have the file inside that folder. And make sure that when you're trying to run that file here, is that particular file name that you're trying to run that exists. If not, it's not going to run. If I try to list out the file, you see that I have index.js here. If I type node index, even if I write the .js or not, it's going to run. You see, but if I said maybe node practice and press enter, it is going to tell me a module not found because there's no file here named practice.js. So your terminal is in, if you have this module not found error, it means that your terminal is pointing to the wrong location, or to the wrong location for the file. So you're trying to look for what doesn't exist. Okay, so what you have to do is you have to create a folder and open that folder with VS Code, then create a file inside that folder named maybe index.js or practice.js or whatever I want to call it, but it has to end with .js. I hope I've answered your question.
Please, Mr. Victor, I actually am still having the same problem. I did just exactly what you said, but my terminal is still showing me the same error you have right now. And then I have a file index.js in my folder, and that's the only file inside the folder.
Yes, that's because your terminal is not pointing to the right place. Your
So
terminal
please,
is
how
not
do I
pointing.
point it to where it's supposed? It's open actually because it's pointing downwards. The folder is
So
pointing downwards.
yeah, I get. So now the where you have um, where your terminal is, does it show c slash c slash what does it used to show on Windows again? I can't remember. What is it showing there? C slash what slash what slash what? What is it showing on your terminal?
Okay, mine is showing C slash user slash PC user slash desktop slash code camp.
Okay, so which means the code camp is on your desktop, right? The code camp folder is on your desktop, right?
No,
Yes, it's on
no,
my desk.
okay, I did not create it from my desktop. I actually just created it from VX Code. Um,
No. Make sure that's where the problem is. So if you have a folder named CodeCamp on your desktop, for example, inside that folder you can create a file named index.js, right?
okay,
And
okay,
you can open the CodeCamp, right, folder with your VS Code,
okay.
so that you can then have access to type or do what I'm trying to do.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you.
If you
That on the in my
okay.
own system, I opened the code
Mm.
camp using VS Code, but now it's showing me after opening it, it showed me new folder. It showed me to open a new folder, a different folder under the code camp itself.
No, you don't need to create another folder inside the code camp. When once you highlight the code camp folder, just go and click on a button, that select folder button. Then it is going to open code camp with your VS Code.
It's confusing.
Oh,
Well,
uh, do I need to go over this again?
Let me just share how I did mine. Maybe it will help. You can open a folder on your desktop. Then when you come to your VS Code, then click on File, Open Folder. When you click on the folder, go to Select. A dialog box will come up. Once you click on the folder, then go to Select. When you select the folder, it uploads the folder on your VS Code. Then by just uh, by the right of the folder, you see new the icons, new file, new folder. Click on new file. You can actually create a file on the VS Code too. Then name the file there, save it. I think that can also help.
Yeah, she's correct. So, do you understand who asked the question before? Do you now understand how it works, or you're still confused?
No, I'm actually on it. I'm doing what he said, so that's why I'm trying to try it out.
Okay, cool. All right. So,
Yeah, I'm trying to try it out also.
okay. All right. So, with what I've shown you guys, we are done for today's class. I hope you guys followed up. If you have any question with whatever I explained, right, you can just type it on, you can say it on the comment section or the chat section or on the Discord, right? You can always say it on the channel, the NodeJs channel, right? And then you try to solve it. If it is something you can solve by just maybe giving you the procedure, right, in written form, then you might hop on a video call and then I explain things to you, right, gradually. Okay, so in the absence of questions, I guess I am done with today's class. Okay, I hope there's no question. There's no question. Anybody having any other difficulty, any other challenge? Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Are we going to get the slide in
Yes, definitely. I'll send the slide when once I drop off the
Oh,
call out. I'll
oh,
upload it for you guys to use.
okay, okay. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Any other um question?
Sir, please
Yeah,
continue
yeah,
my own.
yeah. I will drop James Kayode. Yes, I will drop the slide on the channel. Yes, so that you guys can go. And I encourage you guys to go through the slide, um, try out. Okay, let me give you guys a task to do. Yes, yes, but just try out these tasks. So, um, create a simple game, right? Create a simple terminal game, right? It should just be a very simple terminal game, right? And then the terminal game would ask you to guess a number between 1 to 10. Just look for a way to do it. It will ask you to guess a number between 1 to 10. And then when you guess that number, it's going to show you the number, it's the random number it generated, and if what you put there, what you supplied as input is correct, then it's going to tell you that, oh, you did the correct thing. If it doesn't, if what you supplied is not what it generated, right, then it is going to tell you that, oh, you didn't win or something like that, right? I hope you guys understand what I'm trying to say.
No, sir, please explain.
I don't understand though.
Okay, it's just a guessing game, right? Okay, imagine I tell you, oh, think about a number between 1 and 10, right? And you think of a number, I think of a number, right? And then maybe I write the number at the palm of my finger, I write the number at the palm of your finger. You show me the number you guessed, I show you the one I guessed, right? If our numbers match, it means that you won, right? But if our numbers don't match, it means that you didn't win. Do you get? Right? But now, instead of me being that person, right, the computer will be the person to guess the number while you two put in your input. Do you understand?
You're not. Well,
Do you
it's
understand?
it's it's. I think this has to do with coding.
Yes. So I want you guys to ponder on it, um, um, try and figure it out, how it can be done, how it can be written. Okay. So I guess I would also drop this on the in the class, right? I'll drop it and then you guys are going to see it, and definitely, um, uh, like the assignment, I will drop it, and then people that are not on the course will going to see it and then try it out. All right. So, any further questions?
Sorry, Mr. Victor, please, before you go, I I guess so what the terminal is showing me now, I have been able to like do what one of the students said, but what is showing me now is I'm just having when I type in node index, for instance, it just returns back the um it doesn't return anything actually. It just bring out the prompt again.
Which prompt does it bring out?
My usual user PC desktop and then CodeCamp.
It has not been saved.
Oh shoot, this is serious.
Control S.
Okay. I'm
Is it
sorry.
working now?
No, sir.
Okay.
Oh yeah, it's working now. Thank you very much.
Okay. So,
So
you're welcome. So the other lady that also had the same issue, is it also
No,
working?
yes, mine has been working. Yes, thank you very much.
Okay.
thank you, Mr. Victor. Thank you very much.
Okay. You're welcome. So
Thank you,
Solomon
Mr.
Sunday was
Victor. Thank you, Mr. Victor.
okay. You're welcome. You're welcome. So Solomon Sunday is saying, is it not better that people with terminal issues share their screen? Okay. Um. Then I will explain why you can't do that on the call. If you're supposed to share your screen, then that is going to mean that I am going to make you an admin, which is what I am not allowed to do. I can't make any other person on this call an admin. So it's only the admin that is allowed to share their screen, right? So if I want to make your if I want to make you um share your screen, then that is going to mean that you're also going to be an admin. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to avoid. So instead of that, you can always maybe drop your concerns right on the chat section, right? Yeah. So that is one of the reasons why you can share your screen. Okay. So hope Victor Vance, right? I'm sorry if I didn't pronounce your name well, right? Okay. Say thank you, Sir Victor. Yeah, you're welcome. So we since there is no other question, I guess we are done for today's class. So see you on Wednesday. Um, hopefully, what happened today, earlier today, is not going to happen again, right? Um, where
On Thursday, right?
yes, it's Tuesday and Thursday by 2 o'clock. So just don't forget Thursday by 2 o'clock, right? So see you on Thursday by 2 o'clock, right? And practice. Whatever I've taught. If you have any question, always drop it on the Discord, right? And don't be shy, please. Nobody here, there's no question that is too bad to ask, right? Even on the Discord, there's no question that's really bad to ask, right? And at least before asking a question, make sure that you try to maybe make your research or try to understand the topic first. And then if you don't understand the topic at all, then you can then ask questions. Okay, how does this thing really work? I've tried because I think I'm also going to be asking when you ask a question, why this thing is not working well. I'll ask you first, like, so what did you try out? Did you try out this? Did you try out that? And then I can from there help you, right? So the another thing about software is you also need to learn how to solve problems on your own because most times, let's say after code camp, right, and you're faced with real life issues, you might not really have you might sure have people, but they might not always be available to solve your problem, right? So you always also have to develop that skill set of trying to. Let me show you guys something. This is like off what I'm the topic for today. Now, this is your VS Code, right? Let me share my screen again. Um, this is your VS Code. You find something like this, right? Error, model not found, cannot find model. This is something that you can do. Copy this line of the error, right? Then copy it. Then come to your browser, right? So let me share my browser. Let me share my browser screen. New tab. Okay. Right. So you find out that now the problem you might be encounter, the problem you encounter now, a lot of people have already encountered it before, right? So if you check, right, okay, how can I resolve this? You read through someone that has encountered the same problem, and then you see what you can actually do. You see a lot of like resources, right? So this is how most software developers solve their issue. When once they have the bug, they don't know how to solve it. They just copy that line of code, come to Google, paste it, and then see who has encountered that problem and how the person actually solved it. It's that simple. Okay, so that's like problem solving 101 for you guys. Okay. All right, so we've come to the end of today's class. So till Tuesday, till Thursday. Sorry. Okay. So have a nice day, guys. Bye bye.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Okay. All right. Bye bye.